So, nice Monday afternoon. I decided to go into a issue that kind of annoys me for the sake of being in the way when it comes to the various attempts I've made at having relationships. So, it was probably about a month or two ago that I began correspondence with two females who did not know each other, who had no way of knowing each other, lived far apart from each other, just completely separate dialogues. And the only similarity I initially saw them as having was that they were both um, approaching me instead of the other way around as it usually happens. In the course of my interactions with both of them, I noticed a similarity. When I spoke to one, she stated that she was against, or rather in favor of being with a guy that was 10 years older than her. I said, okay, well, that's her decision. See, the only reason this matters to me is because I have an interest in being with that person. If I don't, then you can do whatever you want. No, I don't care. Um, so I told her, because I am 2 years younger than her. She goes, "Oh, yeah, that bothers me." Now, mind you, this was disclosed to me 2 months after we interacted. We both knew each other's age from our first interaction. And so this bothered you so much you managed to suppress it for what, a sixth of a year? So, kind of let that slide. Figured, okay, well, this one person said something that didn't appear to be that smart to me, but people tend to have their own various rationales of logic. In the course of speaking with the other female, who was a couple of months my senior, she stated that this age gap of a couple of months turned her off. This age gap of a couple of months turned her off. And at that point, she stated that she was into more mature guys, and mentioned ones from the past as having been 5 years older than her. Now, I want you to think about this. If I were to go and state, let's say I'm in, I don't know, my first year of high school, every single female in my class, I will disband you because you are my age. But all of the females in the senior class and above, have at it, Hoss. I would be looked at as insane. I'd be looked at as having standards that just are not fair to people who likely may be better or otherwise as good as this supposed older group. You see, both of these females really convinced me that at one point or another, this little saga I've had in terms of trying to meet a suitable partner would be completed. And I realized, part of the reason it can't happen is because people throw out reasons that are bogus, and part of a goalpost. You see, whether or not you have that same preference, if you can sit there and talk to a person and admit to them that they have everything you want, but something they can't change, to tell me, if I were born 1,000 days earlier, this would be retracted. This would have changed. After knowing this detail about me, and this is kind of where people have to understand something. Even in telling the truth, you're still susceptible to someone having some kind of second thought, backwards belief system that only comes out after a certain amount of time. 50 days passes and now an issue, that of age that you were aware of, has now proceeded to become problematic for you. And I really hope what I'm trying to convey is being understood here. I am bothered by the idea that I can go and tell someone something, have them say, "Oh, it's okay," and then 2 months later, "Oh yes, now it's a problem." Yeah, TFL. These, I don't know about attention seekers, but it's more just the logic is not there, and I've kind of been noticing this more as time has passed, and people, you're free to go and date whoever you want. I'm not suggesting that I must be the exemption to everyone's rule, but there's a difference between having preferences and just being ridiculous. I would prefer, for the sake of longevity, if I'm to have some long-term partner, an older female, and that's because females typically live longer than males. And I wouldn't want someone that I'm married to or facing some kind of years-long relationship to be a widow, or at least if they have to be, it would be for a very short time. That's kind of the thing. I'm not, and this is also part of the, difference between they're trying to just go on a date and I'm trying to open them up to the possibility of having something long term. And it seems that when they talk about this supposed need for maturity, which by the way I don't even think is that profound, because I can recall I was in my final year of high school, and I had a teacher that was upset with how several students acted. And one thing she said to them stayed with me. They were seniors as well. You have not matured since your freshman year. And it really broke that ageist belief system that, okay, well, because this person is older, they automatically have more. They automatically are smarter. They automatically see things in a way that is more conducive to what I want. And I just don't think that should be the case. But also keep in mind this. This female stated she was bothered by something from months ago that didn't bother her at that time, or that she thought about only afterward, following giving me loads of other reasons for why she didn't want to engage in this. And it goes back to the idea of, if we are to start a society where you can disclose something, the person can say, yeah, this doesn't matter to me. She actually started off by saying that she was bothered or worried that I would turn her down because of the little gap or whatever. And so I didn't care. It's 2 years. People have it all the time. And it's so funny to go from you're worried about how I would react to then you're not worried at all to then, oh, you worry me. It reversed. And then later on when speaking to her, she had stated that, oh, well, it's not the normal thing. Okay, well, most people don't live in California. Well, at least not in the context of the world. Or most people don't live in the U.S. Should I just go to the country with the most people, go to China? I mean, that's how the game we're playing now, where everything we do is just what everyone else does. Should I go look up the career in the U.S. that the majority of individuals have and apply for that or study for that? No, it's more than followers, TFL. It's just the level. I need you to understand this, and I've tried very hard on this channel to not generalize. I've tried relatively extensively to present the narrative of it's just a few, it's just who I'm dealing with. But when I see it over and over, it really breaks apart this attempt on my end of saying people are unique. I've had females say all guys are this way, and I try to not say all females are. I know they're not all that way. But it goes back to what extent do you say this is that, due to a worrying that the people who see my content will go, oh, well, he's just generalizing all of them. I'm not doing that. It's aggravating both on the part of the people doing it and those who are watching and going, oh yes, this is what he really is. He's on some anti-female agenda. No, it's not that at all. I'm saying I've noticed there's a bigger hypocrisy with these age gaps with females than for males. A female can probably say that she's noticed that with males. I wouldn't doubt her. I have no reason to doubt her, and I'm sure there are some that act that way as well. And remembering that my problem here is that you won't, really, TFL and the other 5 people checking us out, really think about this. You won't date a guy that's 2 years younger, but you'll date a guy that's 10 years older, for the sake that it's usually the male who's older. Which, by the way, if I'm walking down the street with you, no one's going to know the ages unless we just walk around with our birth certificates. So People look for issues in everything. I am so tired of this, just for a multitude of reasons, but more so that when you go into interactions with various individuals that you're seeking to have something with, you don't know what their preferences are. I meet you on the first day. I don't know if you're into chocolate or some other candy. And you learn more things as time goes on. And obviously, as you learn more things, you become convinced, yeah, this might not work, or oh, I have a problem with that. It's the tip of the trade. But the problem I have is that I disclosed this from the first encounter, the first interaction, and it was stated on her part to not be a problem. Only after a certain amount of time does it accumulate in your mind that this is an issue. That's where I draw the line. And also just I'll do this one that much older, but if you're a year or months, no. Yeah, that's been my problem with that. Okay, then people tell you keep trying, don't take it so bad, SMH. Yeah, that was another thing that kind of had me worrying about speaking about it, due to the fact that there is this subsection on here that will go, oh well, this isn't working because of this one thing. If you just do this differently, and what can you do with that? If this person's going to actively look for reasons for why something can't work, why are you still trying with them? The same thing with the other one. They both brought this up. Granted, the other one, to her credit, took only a couple of minutes to go, oh, well, this is the way this is, but still tried to play it off as if it wasn't a disqualifying factor. And this goes back to a theme I've seen with people where you can say, oh yes, you probably would be good, but I believe this person is better suited. And I'm not trying to get off topic here, but that was something I covered before about, and not necessarily in detail, this thing of, oh, we're going to live forever. This tendency to keep brushing aside those whom we admit are good or suitable for the hope of meeting someone who's even further in line with whatever. Life necessarily isn't about taking what you can get, but it also is assessing and weighing pros and cons and just trying to get the most out of it while knowing that you're not, I can't get back tomorrow. And that's really what bothers me so much about these interactions. They will start up these dialogues, these women, whether they're older, younger, whatever, and then finally have some conclusion of why you're unsuitable, and then go and start it up with someone else. And yeah, I'm sure eventually they do meet whoever is within their parameters. There's a wide variety of individuals in this world, but I can't help but feel a sense of great annoyance by just having that person say to me after some lengthy dialogue or exchange, oh yes, now this bothers me. And then even when you tell them this is dumb, they still have a justification for it. It always makes sense in their mind. They can always explain away. I already told you about the one that said she wants to get married but also doesn't want to see her male love interest or suitor, or whichever term you would use, every day, which is what you would see of them at that point if you're supposedly living in the same house. Like it all doesn't make sense. Okay, Josh says women are just messed up in the head and they don't know what they want. Now this one knows what she wants. She wanted to appease the people around her, and you can make the argument of, okay, your personality is different because of this, that, and the other. But you're going to tell me that for the sake of, and I really want you to think about this, I'm supposed to believe that her parents would be, or just her friends, family, whoever she was trying to appeal to, would be bothered by me being 2 years younger, but then they wouldn't be bothered by a guy being 10 years older? That just doesn't make sense to me. It's not, I wouldn't be bothered by this were it not for the fact that I thought this person was interested, and just they claimed that they were, but after a while they switched up. Okay, and what is, I don't know what TFL is saying. Oh, you're saying that to Josh C. Yeah, the problem with the live stream chat on here is that the last message will disappear. The ones before the last message will disappear, and then after that, I'll click and go, oh, what is this? So when you had the arrow, I had to go and refresh it and see what had been left before. That's something that YouTube's geniuses that installed the site need to update, or otherwise. I don't know, maybe that is the update. Maybe they just said, oh, you don't need to see all of that on one side. But I liked the option of having that there. Maybe, their conclusions are different from mine. I take a sigh and a breath of air every time I get back from these interactions. And sure enough, as more and more time passes and you see more and more ridiculous manners of going about talking to someone, and excuses and rationales and belief systems, it just gets to be this thing where you put your hand over your head, or you try to block it out. And this is the exact opposite of what I feel life was intended to be. Life shouldn't be about, what was that statistic that 80% of females are going to go for the top 20% of guys, or something to that effect. It shouldn't be that way. And I know that people are going to say, oh, well, you can't make someone date someone. It's not about that. It's this idea that you're going to have a difficult time with trying to find a partner, more so if you're one gender than the other. And then if you can't find that partner, you get alleged to be some other orientation, or to have some kind of mental problem, or to have too high standards, or to be blaming the entire opposite sex, as has happened on my platform, where you'll have people who go and state that my standards were so high to where everybody got canceled out. And it's nerve-wracking, because you don't need, when you're, there's obviously some depression that comes along with this type of lifestyle, where you don't seemingly get the same amount of attention that's a male who is actively being dated would. There's a bout of depression that comes in that, and when you have people both online and your personal life that are saying, all this nasty stuff about you, it's putting it's kicking the dog while he's down, effectively. And I'm going to probably do something else later on today, so I hope my message was conveyed. And remember, the central idea is you can date whoever you want, but don't put up roadblocks after learning about what I was, or anything that has already been disclosed to you. That's my issue with this.